ID Alliance presents this week's short attention span sales tip. Good morning, it's Bill Farquharson. How was your weekend? Great, let's talk about sales. Enough of that small talk. So listen, this is a unique time of year. You're coming up on a time of year where, as I pointed out last week in last week's tip, you want to be thinking about the 4th of July week right now because it's a terrific time to do some thinking about and planning about the future. It's a good time to maybe learn more about the software programs that you use and just kind of do a hard stop and use that quieter week, which I think the 5th, 6th, and 7th are going to be, to do some retooling. This is the end of the month, it's the end of the quarter, and it's the end of the first half of 2017. This is a hard stop where you say, how am I doing? How are my sales? Or if you're a manager, saying, how are my sales reps' sales? And if the answer is anything else other than outstanding, I'm doing great, the reason that it's bad comes down to the fundamentals. And the fundamentals, as I pointed out I think when I changed the format, I did this speech, but it comes down to 4 things. Number 1, are you making a high value call? Number 2, are you calling on the right target market? Number 3, do you have a prospecting process? And number 4, are you applying that process with diligence and pleasant persistency? And gang, this is all there is. This is it. It's one of these 4 things or more. So, starting at the top, listen to yourself when you're calling up a prospect and you're saying, my name is Bill Farquharson, calling from Farquharson Enterprise Printing, and I want to talk to the person that buys your print. If that or something similar to that is your sales call, then you are making a terrible sales call and you should be flogged. Because what's going to happen is that person's going to say, well, I'm the one that buys the print. Give me some prices, and your price is too high. You are leading them down that road. Stop making that sales call, or please get out of the industry. We do not need more help in the race to the bottom. What you should be doing is understanding something about the company. It's not about their print. It was never about print or packaging or labels and signage or promotional products or whatever it is you're selling. It's about them. It's about what their needs are. And you need to learn how to do that research. So give yourself a grade, A to E or A to F or scale of 1 to 10 or whatever, and make certain that you understand what you are doing, what they are doing, and how you can help them. What questions would you ask them? It's about their business needs, gang, not their print needs. The second issue has to do with target market. Where do you fit? What kinds of companies should you be calling on? And what kinds of companies should you be avoiding? Very important. The third piece is prospecting process. Do you have one? What's it like? This is a good week to stop and say, well, maybe I can change it up. Maybe week 1 I won't do an email. Maybe I'll start with an introductory letter, or maybe I'll start with a phone call, or maybe I'll send out a success story, or whatever. You got to have a step-by-step, week-by-week process, 4 weeks minimum, absolute minimum, with at least 1 touch per week. What the steps are almost irrelevant. The important part is how you apply the steps. That is the diligence, and that's key number 4. Make the calls, make the calls, make the calls. Now, if you asked me, Bill, which of those 4 in your experience is typically the culprit, I'm going to tell you number 1 and number 4. That is the quality of the call or the fact that people aren't making enough. That's usually the problem, one of those 4. And as a result, I think you've got to look hard at those as well, the other ones, and then make some changes. That's what the second part of this year is. Call it, July sales resolutions, but what can you do differently? If it's not working, then you've got to change everything that you're doing. If you're not getting through on voicemail, it's because you're not saying anything of value. Change it. Or maybe you're calling on the wrong target market, or maybe you don't have a prospecting process. Change it. And then however many calls you're making, you need to increase it. If you're making 1 or 2 or 3 calls a day, that's not enough. Everybody can make 7 sales calls a day. Everybody. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, well, not me because I'm very busy, let me ask you something. What time of day are you watching this sales tip, Mr. I'm so busy? Because if it's 10 o'clock in the morning, 11 or 12 o'clock during prime selling time, you could have been making calls right now. You shouldn't be watching me in the middle of prime selling time, so don't tell me you're too busy to make sales calls. You can make 7 sales calls. I even have a white paper on that called, cleverly enough, How to Make 7 Sales Calls a Day, and you should be downloading it. So, look at those 4 things this week. Make new goals for July and August. It's a very special time period, those 2 months. If you're going to throttle back a little bit and sell, work a little bit less because you're on your numbers, great, good for you. Okay? Don't make the assumption that nobody wants to hear from you. You created your summer slowdown. You got to push through it. All right, I'll be back. I'm not sure if I'm going to post a sales tip for the week of the 4th of July, but I certainly am going to do one starting again on the 10th. We'll start there. Today is, today's Monday when this gets released. I'm back in the office. I'll be on the West Coast this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I come back Wednesday morning at 5 a.m. Eastern Time. I'll be in the office Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of this week. So if there's something I can do for you, let me know. Otherwise, have a great selling week and a wonderful 4th of July.